What's going on, guys? I am Matthias, and today I just got back from physical therapy. While I was at physical therapy, though, Amanda had an appointment, a postpartum appointment with our midwife. So she had to take Luna, put her in the car seat, do all that thing, put her in the stroller, drive all the way there on her own. And I taught her how to do all that stuff, you know, put Luna in the car seat, because up until now, I've been doing it because naturally, you know, Amanda's had a decent amount of pain, so I've been doing all the like heavy lifting and stuff for her. But I was like, oh no, I gotta teach you how to do all this stuff, and she's there safe, so we're good. And while she's there safe, and while I got back, I'm gonna do my best to clean. Maybe get Amanda so that she's not as stressed. You know, when she comes home and there's a mess here, probably adds to her stress, and I want to take that away. Right now, as you can see, there's tons and tons of fan mail. We opened up some fan mail, more fan mail. There's more fan mail over here. Oh my gosh, you guys sent us so much. We love you and appreciate that. It's very, very nice to feel very loved, and for the most part, it's all stuff for Luna, which is awesome. People have been sending diapers, wipes, all that kind of stuff, so that's really awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm gonna get to doing this. Physical therapy still going okay, slow moving. I'm finding that I'm very obtuse to pain in my body, meaning I'm just like, I'm not aware of a lot of different pains in my body. I'm not aware of like, I guess that's it. And my physical therapist was like, you know, pushing parts on my back, and I'm like, ah! And she's like, how's that just not hurting you regularly? And I'm like, I don't know, I've just learned to ignore it. But so she's gonna hopefully get me on the right track there. Hopefully I'll be able to start being more active and not be babying my back all the time. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Anyways, let's clean. And by let's, I mean me. Speaking of which, look at these beautiful paintings. Yes, paintings from a viewer known as Olivia. These are beautiful. I know Amanda loves this, and this is what she named Luna after, this little Pixar short, because it just showed so much love about family, and these are awesome. Thank you so much. Very beautiful. I think I heard them come home. Hello, family. You made it. Look at how cute she is. How'd she do?
She did good. She took me waiter. She's 8'4".
8'4", wow, she's gaining weight. Good job, little girl. That's my girl.
Usually it takes them 2 weeks to reach their birth weight, and she's over it.
She's over it, and she's just a week and a day. How are you, sweetheart? How are you? A week and 2 days, that's right. Yeah, let me hold that for you.
Thank you. So heavy.
Yeah.
But my arms have gotten bigger since having her.
Yeah.
Just carrying her all the time.
Yeah. I bet. All right, let's go inside where it's nice and cool, huh? Okay, I hadn't fully opened up everything that Olivia sent us, but this one was the final piece of the puzzle. Look at this. This is Amanda and I. This is Luna right there, and that's the Death Star, and I'm a Jedi.
Who am I supposed to be?
I'd watch that movie. I'd watch that movie for real. You're just supposed to be you. You're your own person.
I don't know, because you're a Jedi.
Okay, you look like you're royalty. Is that okay? You're royalty.
I'm okay with that.
I got these things for Amanda at Bed Bath & Beyond, and it's like a popsicle thing, but it won't like drip, so you can just kind of like squeeze it. You can squeeze it out instead of like having it drip all over you.
Also, if you don't want to eat it all at once.
Yeah, so I made you a cherry lemonade popsicle,
oh,
yeah?
So good.
You dig it?
Yeah, it's not that hot outside, but it's very refreshing.
There you go.
I can't wait to hang this up.
Yeah?
Yeah. These are really, really pretty.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I wish I had talent like that.
Oh, now she falls asleep.
Oh, she
Always
was
when
doing the cutest thing.
She was doing the thing where she was like, I don't know why.
Because it's cute.
No, I know I don't know why she was doing it. All of a sudden she was just like, no. Oh, hi. Hi, beautiful. What's up? Yeah. All of a sudden she found out who was holding her. She was like, who that? Okay, I swear she's smiling at me. It may just be a reflex, but get on my face when I sing this. Oh! That's not the right face.
Why does she look like she's gonna cry?
It's the camera.
Her face is all red.
Wait. I don't know about you, but that's a smile.
It's so
That's just falling asleep.
Oh, she's totally looking at you though.
It was so funny when I was singing to her, and I told Amanda to bring down the camera because she was smiling. Like the first time she smiled at me, I got like the weirdest feeling. I got like butterflies in my stomach, and I got like super nervous. I don't know why. I have no. Look at that face. Look at that face. Please tell me you're seeing that face. She saw herself and she was like, "Huh? Hey, hey, you like Daddy's voice, don't you?" Seems like she really likes my voice. Like when she's like crying and stuff like that, I'll just start singing like really low tones and put her up against my chest, and then it just like calms her down instantly, and she falls asleep within like a minute. Please don't tell me you just have gas. Please tell me it's actually a smile. Alright, so today we have decided that we have time and energy to actually talk about the birth story. Luna's sitting over there in her little rockaroo thing, hiccuping away.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we really wanted to talk about this was because there are a lot of things that, I mean, if you ever plan, even the slightest idea of planning a family in the future, it probably would be something interesting for you or something important for you to listen to and try to remember. And I guess it's just really educational. I mean, there are a lot of things that happened that, you know, were really powerful, scary, happy, just crazy things, right?
Yeah, a lot of stuff out of our control that we, even though we planned.
Yeah, you can only plan so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to make those decisions before, which we did with our midwife, just in the event that certain things happened. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, why don't you start it off?
So, a lot of you are asking, Luna was born July 30th.
Yes, so
Yes,
Luna was
so
born
that is
July
the official
30th,
birthday.
11:20 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
That's not starting from the beginning. That's
No.
That's literally the punchline. You just gave away the whole story.
No, but for you guys to know, that's the day that she was born, because a lot of people were asking. They thought she was born in August.
Oh, 8 pounds, too.
Just gave it away.
Yes, well.
Okay, so it all started on the 28th.
Actually, it all started 9 months before that. I'm just kidding. Go on.
Well, actually, it didn't start the 28th. It started the 27th. So I went to go see...
Sorry, her hiccups are so distracting.
I know, and
listen.
she's like moving around. No, she doesn't have hiccups.
I guess she lost them. Oh, dang it, right when I talked over her. Alright, she was waking herself up with the hiccups.
Mm-hmm, with the hiccups. So it all started the 27th, when I went to go see my midwife, and she was checking to see how... Okay, so it all started the 27th. When I went to go see my midwife, she's checking to see how far along I was dilated, because I was dilated 2 centimeters like the week previous. And so she's like, you're about 2 to 3 centimeters dilated still. And she's like, I can stimulate your cervix to try and get your labor going, because I was already 40 weeks in like 2 days or something like that. So she did that, and then after that I started having contractions that were pretty consistent, but I just wasn't really thinking about it because I've had so much false labor. So then the next day at 6:30 I started having actual consistent contractions from like, I don't know, anywhere from like 3 to like 6 minutes apart. And then throughout that whole day, my doula came over. We like tried to like jumpstart labor and stuff like that, and then we.
I mean, explain how it felt though.
I mean, like contractions, like for all of you girls out there, just feel like, well, Braxton Hicks feel like period cramps for me.
Ouch.
And then the actual contractions just felt like more intense cramps. And it for me, I had a lot of back labor, so I had a lot of back cramps and cramping, and it just didn't feel good. My back still hurts from it. I need to go get like a massager.
She is so wild. She just like tries to make a jump for it.
Yeah, she's awake. So by about like I would say 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 in the afternoon, I started like really, I think, started active labor. And then our doula came back over and then just stayed with us. And I just remember having, it's all kind of a blur because I was just in a bunch of pain.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I called the doula, and she came over, and she was just kind of trying to help you and coach you through the pain.
Yeah.
You seemed to be in a lot of pain, and you were like, heavy breathing, and this was the point at which, like, you were like, okay, it's really hard to have a conversation, and like when she would have contractions, it was like zoning out. And, like, couldn't really focus or anything like that.
I remember I threw up a lot.
Yeah, then she told you to take a bath. Did you already say that?
No, I got in the bath, hot water. I took a couple of showers before she got there to like help with the pain and stuff like that, which helped. You can only stay in the shower for so long.
Yeah, and then you got out, and then hey, hi, and then you got out and you threw up in the trash can.
Yes.
And then that's when Sam was like, the doula was like, okay. I think you better pack your bags, Daddy. And I was like, all right, here we go.
So that was about midnight on the 28th, and so we got to the birthing center at like 12:05 on the 29th, and then from there, I like dilated until 5 or 6 centimeters.
You're fast forwarding a lot though.
Am I?
Well, you're kind of fast forwarding a lot. I mean, like, you're fast forwarding like 12 hours.
Well, I was in labor.
You were in labor for a long time.
Yeah, I was in active labor from like 12 until like 12 midnight until like 12 noon the next day, and I was just like in and out of like the bathtub, the shower, just like the birthing ball, just different positions. Yeah. Going through the contractions.
You were going through the.
Yeah, I had also started doing like hypnobirthing tapes, which.
The breathing and the what's the word for it?
It's like coached meditation.
You're like, whoa, like that, you know.
Well, no, that wasn't the.
No. I'm talking about just the breathing and the deep moaning.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but like I guess a different coping mechanism once it starts to get really, really hard and your contractions start getting really intense is to like do a deep moaning to help you through the contractions, and it really did help. But
because it pushes everything down, it's more guttural rather than like everything's high and it's up here, so you're tensing.
Yeah,
the deeper moaning relaxes your muscles.
And oh my gosh, after doing that for so long, I was just like getting so sick of it because I felt like nothing was helping the pain, and I felt like nothing was like progressing. So I was like doing that from like 12 midnight to 12 noon, and then my midwife checked to see how far along I was, and I was still only like 5 centimeters. I hadn't like progressed at all. So we decided to break my water because it hadn't broken yet.
Yeah, we decided that. Well, yeah, so she came in and she was like, hey, you need to sign these consent forms if this is something that you want to do. And, you know us, we wanted to do, as natural as possible within reason, right?
Yeah.
And
not as many, like no interventions.
Yeah, we didn't want...
Little as interventions as possible.
Yeah, as little as interventions as possible. Obviously, breaking the bag, breaking the amniotic sac is an intervention.
Yes.
It's a huge intervention.
But it's supposed to help stimulate labor and to, like, get things moving, essentially.
It's also dangerous.
Yeah, it can be dangerous, but if you were in the hospital, if you went straight to the hospital, they would have broken my bag like 12 hours prior.
Yeah, that's true. But the reason why it's dangerous is because the baby is protected by the amniotic fluid from infection. So essentially, when you break that bag, it's like, okay, the baby's got to come right now. I mean, you're already so far in labor,
the baby has to come within
a certain amount of time, right?
16 to 18 hours.
Or else you risk infection.
Yes, and you have to get antibiotics.
You have to get antibiotics.
So there's a lot of other stuff that, like, when you are pregnant and you have a baby, you'll have to, like, educate yourself on, and your care provider should educate you on that too. Yeah,
so we signed the forms, you signed the form, because we thought that was probably the best bet because she hadn't been progressing in a while.
So, and at this point, our midwife thought that it was all positional, because she was kind of like, here's my pelvis, and she was like coming in at an angle. She wasn't like coming down, which she should have, which is how babies are supposed to. So her head wasn't completely on my cervix, so it couldn't dilate. Yeah. So after the bag got broken,
you did more hypnotherapy, I think.
Yeah, I did that for a couple of hours.
And yeah, so then I walked out of the room because I felt like, I don't know, at some points I felt like my presence was not necessarily negatively affecting you, but I felt like you're feeding too much off of me, off of like, you're trying to feed off of my strength rather than your own. And I felt like sometimes when I was in there, you're like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And when I wasn't in there, and it was just like you and like the midwife, you're just like, okay, I got to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Rather like, it was only certain parts when you're in like extreme pain, when you're just like, no, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this.
Because it was taking so long.
And you were like, I just want the pain to go away. Maybe you're like, we should do an epidural. And I was like, and at that point, that was the time where I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what to do here, you know? It was like, you wanted an epidural, you were in so much pain, but I also wanted to stick to your initial idea of the birth that you had planned, you know? So I didn't know what that threshold was for you, you know? I didn't know what that threshold was, so we decided to progress a little bit farther, a couple more hours.
She broke it at like 1.
Mm-hmm.
I
left.
I started feeling like that around like 5. And so then I think we waited.
But breaking the bag did progress labor.
It did with contractions. It didn't with dilating my cervix.
Exactly. It didn't with dilating. Yeah. It made your contractions even more strong. And like you went into this like trance. It was like really interesting. You just were like not really present. You were like not really present. Blur. Yeah.
So at about like I think 8 or 9 o'clock, I think we all decided to transfer to the hospital.
Oh, well, yeah, she checked your cervix again.
Oh, yeah, and it didn't change.
You're forgetting all these details.
I mean...
Okay, she checked...
I was in a lot of pain.
Yes, I understand. So, she checked your cervix, and it was still 5 centimeters dilated.
Yeah, it hadn't progressed.
And I remember you looked at me and you're like, what? You were so upset. And I remember you being so strong, too, because, like, you were in so much pain. But I remember every time you started to like, get a little bit more like shrieky or like upset or like tense up and stuff like that, you would listen to me. You would actually listen to me. And like when I'm like, okay, breathe low, deep sounds, and like you would instantly go into that. And like I'll always remember that. Like that took strength and courage, I think. And I don't know if I had ever been able to do the same thing. You know, when you're in so much excruciating pain, the last thing you want to do is take instructions from someone. You know?
Yeah.
So she checked your cervix. You hadn't moved, and you're like, I can't do this anymore. And the midwife was like, I think it's time to transfer to the hospital because things aren't progressing. And that was terrifying to me. That was absolutely terrifying to me. And this is something that, obviously wasn't in the birth plan, right? We didn't want medications for the baby.
We didn't want... the midwife had talked about it at a previous appointment,
I mean, I was there too.
No, you weren't there for this.
Well, she had talked about it prior, and in birthing classes too.
Yeah, I had to sign a bunch of forms, and we went over what would happen if I had to be transferred, and what hospital I was going to go to, if it was emergent versus non-emergency.
Looks like we're sitting really far away from each other, but in reality, these chairs don't let us sit close to each other.
Mine was technically non-emergent. To me, it was emergent because I needed pain relief. So
it was an emergency because time was on your side still.
Yes.
You still could be in that. Surprisingly, you still could be in that position for hours and hours more.
If I had to.
If you had to, yeah.
I could have.
Well, you still were.
Exactly. So from the birthing center, Holy Cross was it's 30 minutes away, and then the other hospital that's in town was right down the street. So she called to see which doctors were on call, to see who she thought best would be better care for us. And so it happened to be that I just had to go down the street. So I was really thankful for that. So she called and she told everybody the situation so I could get the epidural pretty much as soon as I got there. And I think after we got there, I had it within 15 minutes?
Yeah, so we got there, I dropped you off, they walked you up, and I went to go find a parking spot, and by the time I got up to the room, You're already in your gown, you're like in a chair, and you're just like, when is this happening? I sat down, and then they came in with they started the epidural, and I remember the midwife looking at me like, did she sign a consent form?
I didn't sign
like,
anything.
the midwife and the doula were like, she did not sign a consent form. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, is this, what's happening? Is this dangerous? And like, maybe it was just some like thing that they were just like, interesting. But they were just trying to get these medications to her as quick as possible. And then like immediately after they had the epidural in your back, they were like, here's the form.
Yeah, they were like waiting. The nurse that was there that was helping me was just like so wonderful. She was just like, okay, we're going to take care of everything. I'm going to get all of this medication, get you all set up, and then you're going to sign all of your forms. Is that okay?
Okay, so that was the plan.
And I was like, yes, that is fine. Thank you so much, because there was like a ton of admissions paperwork and there was a ton of other stuff, and the anesthesiologist was really nice. And after he had done the epidural, he's like, okay, now you can sign this. I just need you to do this. And it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the epidural.
I got the epidural.
How did that feel?
I really couldn't feel anything. Like, compared to all the contractions that I had, it didn't feel like anything really. And like the nurse was like, oh, you're a trooper. Like, you didn't flinch at all. And I was
all the
like,
nurses were like, wait, you haven't had any pain medication for this many hours?
Yeah.
And they're just like, wow.
It had been like over,
She's a warrior.
I feel like it had been like 48 hours without any pain medication.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all just like, you didn't flinch at all. Did it hurt? Did you feel anything?
What, the epidural?
Yeah, the epidural, because I got a shot to numb the area, and then what they do is they put a needle inside your spine, and then they thread a catheter up there, and they keep the needle. They keep the catheter up there to continuously put medication, so you stay numb. So I didn't feel anything. My whole back was like taped up. And everything.
Yeah, I did not like seeing that needle. It was funny because the nurses and like the doula and midwife were like, okay, you need to sit down, and they were talking to me, and I was like, what? They're like, oh yeah, there's a chair. It's actually required. Yeah. Dads need to sit down while they're doing this, because evidently a bunch of dads faint when they see their wife get an epidural. I wasn't anywhere near fainting, even not liking needles, but I don't know. I just like, I hate to see you in pain, but after seeing what you had gone through, I knew that was nothing.
Yeah, and I had to get a bunch of IVs and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
But then the epidural took about 15 to 20 minutes to kick in, and then after that,
you had like a slight grin. After that, you were just like,
I was like, this feels so good. I can still feel contractions, but
yeah,
it felt so much better. I think I got like 6 hours of sleep after that, and then.
Well, the idea of the epidural, I don't know if we explained that. The reason why everyone was suggesting to get an epidural was because they thought maybe it was positional, maybe it was something else, maybe that it was just that your muscles needed to relax, because she had been contracting for so long.
My body needed to relax.
Yeah, her body needed to relax and take a break so that it could build more strength, because I guess we'll get into more of that.
So right when we got into the hospital after the epidural, the OB came in and discussed with us like the different scenarios. So he's like, okay, you have an epidural. You can stay the natural route and just let the epidural work its course and have your body just...
just burped.
And have your body hopefully try and dilate itself, or we can give you Pitocin and have that kickstart your labor again, and hopefully that will help. But if you do the natural route and it doesn't work, you're probably most likely going to end up in a C-section, and if you don't want to do that and we start you on the Pitocin, we can start you off on the smallest amount and see how that works.
Yeah.
So obviously we chose Pitocin because I did not want to risk having a C-section.
Yeah,
at all.
I mean that is probably the most invasive intervention that there is.
Oh, for sure.
As far as pregnancy
goes.
Maybe there's more, I don't know. But that was definitely pretty scary.
Yeah.
I remember before, so they gave you Pitocin, and then you're in bed, and then there was like this chair that like half reclined. Not really. It was like I'm sitting down. That was like meant for dads, right? So I sat in this chair, and I remember looking at the monitor that she had this like belt that read your
monitors.
heartbeat,
No,
the strength of the contractions. No, it read your heartbeat. Yeah, you had the monitor read your heartbeat, your blood pressure, the strength of your contractions, and the baby's heartbeat. And
I couldn't see the monitors.
you couldn't see it, so but I could clearly see it from where I was sitting all night long.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there was audio of the baby's heartbeat. And the issue is, like if the baby moves a little bit, obviously it's gonna change it up and maybe not detect the baby's heartbeat.
Yeah, because the monitor stays in one spot.
Yeah, and obviously the baby moves around.
Yeah.
And like I didn't get an ounce of sleep. I didn't get any sleep just because I was just like staring at that monitor, just like, you know, because we're in this kind of like scarier situation now where like things are starting to get a lot more complex and like much more frightening, and like I just wanted, you know, her heartbeat to remain constant and strong, and it was tough because like there are times where it just like fell off and I was like, what is that? And I like jumped up, and like everyone, I guess the midwife and the doula were like, it's okay, it's just the baby moving, and like
I could feel her moving. And I would have to like constantly like be like, it's okay, I could feel her. She just shifted a little bit. Man,
is that nerve-wracking, just having a heart rate monitor. Have you ever been by someone that has a heart rate monitor and like it glitches out? You're like, what's happening? Oh my word.
Yeah.
So
after
next morning.
No, so the Pitocin, they started me off at like 2 milligrams. I don't know the.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but
they started you off at 2.
They started me off at 2, and they couldn't go all the way up to 25. Yeah, so they started me off at 2, and then like a few hours later, the nurse came in and she kicked it up to like 4, I think, and that's when I started, like the epidural kind of stopped working.
Yeah, you kept having to position yourself on either side because the way it works is it flows downward. So like if you were slightly propped this way, your left leg would be completely numb, but you'd feel everything in your right side.
Yeah, so it was really uncomfortable because I was feeling it more on my right side.
Well, they switched you over like 6 times. Like every 30 minutes, they're like, okay, we're gonna switch you over again, and it was just like intervals.
Yeah, because when the anesthesiologist was putting in the epidural, the catheter, I could feel it on my left side instantly. So my left side I knew, and like my leg was dead for like forever. But my right side was having a really hard time staying numb, and that was where pretty much all the pain was coming from. So after she kicked it up to like 4 on the Pitocin scale, I think they checked me and I was like 8 centimeters dilated, and I was just having more pain and more pain. And then I think by like 8 or 9 the next morning, they said I could start pushing. Yeah,
then finally they checked and you were fully dilated. They said, did they say you could start pushing before the doctor came in and did his thing?
Yeah, because the doctor, so I started pushing and then the doctor came in while I was pushing and moved her.
Yeah, well, you're underplaying this. He came in and he was like, she's not coming out the way she just bark at you? Alright, the camera stopped recording on us, and then I went to go check how much we recorded, and then I noticed that the position which we set up for good light also has a bunch of alcohol in the background. In which we haven't drank in like 5 months, and now it just looks like great parents. Just talking about a birth story. Hey, check out all these booze.
I know.
Anyways, so we were talking about the doctor came in and he had evidently this is his specialty. Okay, this was his specialty. This is something that he's known for doing really well at, is that he goes up into her and while Amanda's having a contraction, he rotates the baby's head. He takes what, four fingers and rotates the baby's head to put her in a different position so that she could be birthed naturally.
Yeah, and that was painful, I will tell you.
When he went up there?
No, not when he went up there, when he went up there and then turned her.
Oh, yeah.
When he turned her, that was really painful.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
If I didn't have the epidural, I don't know how that would have felt. Because I could feel it with the epidural.
Man.
And so after that, he left because the doctor just kind of catches the baby. He's not there during labor.
He's a big shot. You got better things to do.
So after that, I don't know how long it took before she started crowning and before like he caught her. But it worked. And
yeah, so, well, oh gosh, you're passing over so much.
okay.
So, like I said in the very beginning, that little chart reads the strength of her contractions. So when she started pushing, I could see very clearly how strong you were pushing, and it was really like interesting for me to see that. And like you were like pushing really hard, but you had an epidural, so you couldn't really feel anything down there, so you didn't really know if you were pushing or not. And like this is the point at which you got most frustrated, I think. You started getting really frustrated because everyone was telling you to push, and you're just like, I can't feel anything, nothing seems like it's happening. And then our doula, was it our doula? Yeah, our doula was like, do you guys have a mirror? To the hospital, and they're like, oh, we'll go and try and find one. And like she kept pushing and pushing, and she started doing better and better. I could see that chart go higher and higher. And then they finally found a mirror, just like a long mirror that like, so Amanda, essentially, yeah, full-length mirror that Amanda could essentially see herself. And they positioned it so that Amanda could see herself, and that made all the difference in the world.
Except that everyone kept blocking it.
Well, the doctor and nurses were trying to do their job.
I know. And
so I was like, trying to get that mirror up, and I'm like, look at that!
Like there was this full-length mirror, and like the only part they were blocking is the part that I needed to see, and I could see everything else, and I was just like, I can't see!
But it started, and I remember seeing Luna come out, and I remember thinking, oh, all the nurses were like, oh my gosh, keep pushing, look, there's her hair, and they were like playing with her hair and everything.
That's weird.
I mean, you know, the beauty of birth. Oh, look, big yawn. And she started pushing, and I remember like this part of her head coming out, and I remember Sam telling me, she's like, oh, by the way, Amanda's been in labor for a long time, so your baby's most likely going to have a very cone-shaped head right after she's given birth, but it'll change. And that I knew, that was something that I knew, but I didn't know to the full extent. Oh my word, her head was just like long. And I remember the doctor was like helping her out, and I was like, oh my gosh, so tiny. So tiny, but then her face just kept going. It was just a long head that like popped, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember the doctor, like, once he had her head, he just like yanked her out. I mean, like, he had such confidence and force, but it was still gentle. But he was taking these squeezer things and getting everything out of her lungs and everything like that.
Yeah, she pooped a little in the...
Yeah, meconium.
Yeah.
And I cut the cord, which we didn't want to right away because, and you know, and this is FYI, or not FYI, this is TMI maybe, but Amanda started bleeding a lot.
Yeah, so like after the placenta came out is when you cut the cord.
Yes, because the placenta came out almost immediately.
It did, because I saw it.
Usually it doesn't come out for like 30-40 minutes. Every woman's different.
15 to 20,
15 to 20, okay. But still, yours was like a minute.
Yeah, yeah. And then after it came out, I guess I was bleeding a lot.
You were bleeding a lot.
Bleeding more than normal, because the doctor, I saw him getting concerned.
He was like, oh wow, she's bleeding. She's bleeding a lot.
But our doula came over to me. You went with Luna because they took her.
I went to follow Luna because they took her to like, you know, clean her up and stuff. And I was like, stop wiping all this stuff off of her.
Well, they put her on my chest, and then they took her because I think they thought something was wrong.
Maybe because you were bleeding a lot.
He went over with her, and then our doula stayed with me and was talking with me. And then I was like kind of like paying attention to her. I can't remember exactly what she said. And then I noticed the doctor was like looked all frantic, and so did the nurse that was helping me during labor. And so like they were like stuffing me with rags and like giving me medication.
I didn't see the rag stuffing part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to have medication.
And then he was like pushing on my uterus a lot to make sure like all the, you know, to make sure it was contracting to make the bleeding stopped, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember him being like, okay, well, we got to do something, and then he gave you one stitch and said it wasn't even necessary.
Yeah, because he's like, you ripped a little bit, and he was like, it was really funny. He went back and forth like a minute to see if he wanted to give it to me or not.
He was like, I could, maybe, but I don't have to, but yeah. I'll just do it.
Yeah, so he did it. And then, yeah, then they gave me medication for the bleeding. And so when I told my midwife that, she's like, oh, you must have been bleeding a lot to give medication.
She was, oh my gosh, it scared me.
And so after that, they gave me back Luna.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that you had a slight fever too.
Oh yeah, I had a fever.
The entire time you had a slight fever. I don't know what caused the fever. There could have been a variety of factors. But Luna had a slight fever as well.
Yeah, I think it's because my body was working so hard.
Yeah, and that could have been it. So then the next day or two, they monitored her and Luna for their fever, and they're both okay now. And that was it. I mean, like, the thing is, like, and the rest of our experience in the hospital was really great. All of the nurses in the hospital were just filled with so much love and caring and understanding, you know?
That was probably the best
and our doctor
experience
was
I've had
great.
in a hospital.
That's by far the best experience I've ever had in a hospital.
Yeah.
Like, by far. But it was just really great. Everyone was just like, I don't know, all the nurses that would come, they would just like really want to educate you and like help you and just like share the joy, and it was just great. It was a great experience, and like it all may sound really scary, and it was at certain times, but you know, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. You know, I don't want to give you the wrong impression saying like it was too scary. I wish we didn't do that. It was like
that scary. I just think that we had to make decisions, and that was scary because you never know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so,
it all worked out.
It all worked out. We have this beautiful little baby. Sorry if some of that was TMI, but hey, educational content, am I right? All in all, I think it was a very good experience, and we got something pretty amazing out of it.
I agree. So hopefully one day you'll be glad that I went through 48 hours of labor with you.
Guys,
That's a long time.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. Let us know what you thought about that down in the comments below. Please be respectful. This is real life. Like we say multiple times, this is our real life. We're being real. That being said, I hope you enjoyed the candidness.
Yeah.
And we'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, high five.